All right, today we're going to build a toolkit. It's a toolkit for understanding the financial engine of pretty much any business. It's costs. And let's be real, if you don't know your costs, you don't really know your business.
So, let's just start with a question that every single entrepreneur or creator has to ask themselves at some point. It sounds simple, but trust me, the real answer is usually hiding just below the surface.
So imagine this. You want to start a business selling these beautiful, hand-painted coffee mugs. Now, you can easily figure out the cost of the blank mug and the paint for your design. That's the easy part. But what about the glue for the packaging? Or the salary of the person packing the box? What about the rent for your little workshop? You see, it's these hidden costs that can often make or break a new business.
To figure all that out, we need to open up our toolkits and grab our first set of instruments. These are the tools that are going to help us see what a cost is really made of.
Okay, let's dive right in. At its heart, every single cost a business has can be broken down into just three simple categories.
First things first, we have to get our heads around this fundamental split, direct versus indirect. A direct cost is something you can trace right to a single product, like the wood for one specific chair. An indirect cost, like the wood glue, is essential for making all the chairs, but you can't really measure how much you used on just one. Getting this difference right is absolutely key to pricing your stuff correctly.
So the first element is direct material. This one's the most straightforward, really. It's the physical core ingredient of whatever you're selling. For our little mug company, it's the blank ceramic mug that we start with.
Next up, you've got direct labor. This is all about the wages for the hands-on work, the stuff that turns raw materials into a finished product. It's the salary of the artist who is literally painting that custom design onto each and every mug.
And this diagram here, it shows how this whole thing comes together so well. Up top, you see the three core elements: material, labor, and expenses. And you can see each one is split into direct and indirect. The direct costs? Simple enough. But all those indirect costs, we're talking the glue, the accountant's salary, the rent, they all get bundled together into one super important category we call overheads.
Okay, time to pull out the next set of tools from our kit. Now that we know what costs are made of, let's talk about how they behave. How do they change when your business is booming or when things slow down a bit?
Now, what I love about this slide is how clearly it shows the two main behaviors. Over on the left, you've got fixed costs. Think about your workshop rent. That cost is just a flat line. It's going to be the same whether you make 1 mug or 1,000. Then, on the right, you've got your variable costs, like the blank mugs themselves. The more mugs you decide to make, the more mugs you have to buy. And that cost just climbs in a straight line right along with your production.
But of course, things are rarely that simple, are they? What about the costs that are kind of a mix of both? A great example is your workshop's utility bill. You probably have a fixed monthly fee just to stay connected, plus a variable charge that goes up the more you use your equipment. These are what we call semi-variable costs.
The good news is, our toolkit has the perfect gadget for this. We can actually break down these tricky costs into their fixed and variable parts. We use a simple little technique called the high-low method. Let me show you how it works. Okay, let's walk through this together. So in a slow month, say January, we make 100 units, and the bill is 260 rupees. Then in a busy month, February, we pump out 140 units, and the bill goes up to 300. Now here's the aha moment. The fixed cost is the same in both months, right? So that means the entire 40 rupee increase in the bill must be because we made those extra 40 units. A little simple math, 40 rupees divided by 40 units, tells us the variable cost is exactly 1 rupee per unit.
And once you know the variable cost, the rest is a piece of cake. Just take January's total cost of 260. We subtract the variable part, which is 100 units times 1 rupee each, and what are we left with? Our fixed cost, 160 rupees a month. Bam! Now we know exactly how that utility bill works.
So now we know what our costs are made of, and we know how they behave. With those fundamentals locked down, let's grab the most powerful tools in the whole kit, the ones that help managers make really smart, strategic choices. Okay, these next two concepts are so important for any decision maker. First, sunk costs. This is money that's already out the door. It's gone. You can't get it back, so you have to ignore it when you make future decisions. Then there's opportunity cost. This is kind of like the ghost of the road not taken. It's the benefit you give up by choosing one thing over another. It might be invisible on a spreadsheet, but it's absolutely vital to consider.
This next one is critical for your accounting. Product costs, that's the materials and labor to make the mug, they stick to the product like glue. They're actually counted as an asset, part of your inventory, until that mug is sold.
Only then do they become an expense. Period costs, though, are things like your marketing budget. They get expensed in the month you spend the money, no matter how many mugs you actually sell.
And all of this brings us to the ultimate decision-making tool, filtering for what we call relevant cost. When you're facing a big choice, the only numbers that matter are the future costs and revenues that are actually going to be different depending on your decision. Everything else, sunk costs, costs that stay the same no matter what, that's all just noise. This is how you find real clarity.
So, after this quick tour through the world of costing, what does your new toolkit actually look like? What have we packed inside?
So what's inside? Well, you've got the tools to see what costs are really made of. You have the instruments to analyze how they behave. And you have the strategic lenses to help you make much smarter decisions. You're basically equipped to go beyond just making a cool product and start building a real business.
Which brings us right back to where we started, with our coffee mug. But the question feels different now, doesn't it? Because now you're equipped to answer it not just as a creative artist, but as a savvy business owner who actually understands what it takes to build something that will last. So, what's the real cost? Now, you have the tools to find out.